Howdy, folks. I'm a cheery chestnut-backed chickadee, charmingly chasing carefree companions.
I'm Amber.
And here are more carefree companions for us to chase because we're in a giant game of chickadee tag. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my mother-in-law if she expects me to get a DNA test for my son, then I want her to get a DNA test for my husband? I'm a 30-year-old female, and I met my husband, Stephen, at a friend's place who was at a cousin's party. We instantly connected and started dating not long afterwards. We have been happily married for 5 years now and have a 4-month-old son. I met my mother-in-law at his uncle's funeral. He asked me to attend in support of him. Before we left, his cousin warned me about mother-in-law. He said that she wasn't the nicest person, and she had impossibly high standards to meet, and can be judgmental. So I shouldn't take it personally, as she's like that with everyone. I did ask my husband if he agreed that mother-in-law can be quite judgmental, but not to worry, that he will be there for me. I felt like they gave me the sugar-coated version because she was terrible. She made a scene about bringing a stranger to a family funeral, but my husband cut her off and said his aunt, who was his uncle's widow, said that he could. She spent the rest of the funeral giving me nasty looks and making passive-aggressive comments. She made a scene at our wedding, but that's a different story of its own. But after minimal contact with my mother-in-law, my husband eventually got around to telling her that I was pregnant. I expected her to be angry and have a go at him, but she surprised us both and was completely the opposite. She was excited about being a grandmother. She was congratulating us. Her attitude did a complete turn, and I grudgingly allowed her to visit. When it was time to give birth to my son, she wanted to see my son being born, but I refused. That's when her ugly side reared its head again, and she caused a scene and was thrown out. I refused to let her visit us at our home. My husband agreed, but she rang, crying and apologizing. She said that she was just overwhelmed about being a grandmother and her emotions got the better of her. Against my better judgment, I relented and I said okay. When she first held him, she looked at me and said that he was beautiful. I went into the kitchen and got a drink, and then I could hear my husband telling her to get out. I went back in and she started yelling that he needed to get the baby tested because he doesn't look like anyone in the family. He kicked her out. She took to social media and told everyone that I had cheated on my husband and that my husband needs to get a DNA test to prove that he was the dad. She got a lot of attention for that. So I made my own post and I said that I'll get a test when she gets one for her son. That just made everything worse. She rang my husband, telling him to take it down. He just hung up on her. Everyone is divided and questioning my husband's paternity since she had such a strong reaction to it. Now even my husband is starting to wonder and making me feel that I went too far, and I'm thinking maybe I was the jerk for saying that. Alright folks, what do you think?
No, I don't think Opie's a jerk here. I mean, mother-in-law has consistently overstepped bounds in this whole, I'm going to post on social media that you're cheating because the baby doesn't look like our family. Babies all just kind of look generic. Like, they have different features and stuff, but it's not surprising that, one, a baby doesn't look like anyone else. And even if the baby grows up, like, genetics are wonky. So going around, like, with these rumors and whatnot was really gross. And while OP maybe could have been nicer, turnabout's fair play.
So I think that mother-in-law was completely out of line here. I think that her posting this to social media and even the accusations are a little out there. And I think that this is a matter between OP and her husband, and it's very difficult to judge a child whether or not they are from a certain lineage based off of looks alone. And that's really what the nuts and bolts of this are. It's really difficult. And sure, sometimes kids will look like a parent or another relative, but sometimes they won't. And you won't even see a resemblance sometimes until kids grow up and are older. And I think that's is really important because some of those features take a long time to develop and grow out. So, I don't know. I think that mother-in-law here is speculating, and I don't know what her problem is. I don't know why she suddenly questions OP's fidelity.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, no matter what the reason is, she didn't handle it well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have concerns, it's one thing to express them, but it's another thing to start spreading rumors about your daughter-in-law all over the internet to try and coerce people into, like, buying into your narrative.
Yeah. Well, and the whole OP requesting her to take a DNA test, I think is actually turnabout, and I think that's fair play. I think that OP's request is creative in the respect that it kind of gets to the root of the problem because, like, if one person's questioning, yeah, I mean, why should OP take this test any more than she should take a test for the son, right?
Right.
And it might be offensive, but what she's requesting is offensive as well.
Right. And you could say that about literally anyone. Like, oh, well, how do you know for sure if you don't have a DNA test? And I'm not saying you should,
Mm-hmm.
but just like the kind of the route that mother-in-law is going opens up a lot of these nasty, intrusive questions.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for refusing to take my stuff down in my own house? I'm a 48-year-old female, and my husband is a 46-year-old male, and we both have high-paying jobs. This has allowed us to model our dream house to our liking, which also has a barn in the back which is fully furnished. Mary, my husband's sister, and Jake, her fiance, now want to have their wedding at our barn out back, which is okay for me as they said that they will help cleaning up and taking care of things, etc. But they asked us if we can remove all of the things in the barn as it's not their taste. Now, me and my husband like bright popping colors. So the barn looks like a rainbow threw up inside of it, and I was fine with it since our tastes don't match everyone else's. But then it got to the kicker. They want us to remove practically all of our furniture and paint the walls differently. In our house, since guests will apparently be coming and going, and they don't want to see that rubbish. Mary's words. I think that that's entitled to say, and that they could have found a different venue if she wasn't happy with what we had to offer, and I don't need someone insulting our house like that. My husband agrees with me, since he also thinks that it's entitled. But now family members have been saying that we are cruel, and I don't care about other people, as Mary and Jake don't have that much money to spend. It's gotten a little bit into my head, and now I'm reconsidering my decision. Am I the jerk? Update, the wedding isn't happening anymore at our place. My husband and I don't feel like dealing with their nonsense, especially if Mary feels like she has the right to try and bash me in the comments and make her own posts. We have been uninvited, and we have each other blocked on everything. Thank you, everyone. Update, I did the first update wrong. I meant to say that the wedding isn't happening at our house anymore, and I don't know where it's happening, since me and my husband have been uninvited. But thank you again, everyone. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. Talk about entitled, wanting someone to redo their entire interior of their house because guests might have to walk through to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to ask people, oh, can you take down a few decorations for a wedding? And it may even be sensible if there are things that could be like knocked down or ruined because weddings can get a little rowdy. But it is not okay to demand that someone repaint their house and switch out all their furniture because you think it's tacky.
Well, and also, this is a pretty big financial ask on their part, right? And it's interesting that they're so willing to spend OP's money. Are they going to be paying for the paint job? Are they going to be paying for it to be painted back to the way it was before?
Right. And Opie says in the comments that no, because they don't have money.
Yeah. And I mean, that's where this kind of the sticker is, right? If they don't have the money, then they need to make do with what they have. They can't go and make demands that people change their lives around just for their sake. And I think that they are entitled to want a wedding venue a certain way, but they are not, but OP is not obligated to honor that request.
Right. It's one thing to have a vision, but you can't then just make everyone cave to their vision and shell out money to make that happen.
So I think that they're being extraordinarily entitled, and I can't blame OP for not wanting to repaint the entire of their house. You know, I could understand them wanting to maybe potentially do some changes to the barn or put up like temporary wallpaper or something like that where it might match the vibe or aesthetic of their wedding a little better.
Right. Temporary changes to the barn would have been no big deal. But the actual interior of the house, like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So again, I think that this is going a little far and I can't blame OP at all. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our last letter is an update. Update to my post on r/relationshipadvice. My boyfriend secretly destroyed my hobbies because he was jealous of me spending more time with them instead of him. I'm not sure why I can't post the update on the actual sub, but I'll post here for anyone who's curious. Thank you all for your advice yesterday. A lot of people were very, very concerned for me, and that's honestly mind-blowing. If all you want to know is if I'm okay, I am. If you want to know the full story, here it is. I decided last night that I really needed to go and get my dog, as a lot of people said that he might hurt her if I didn't come back. I didn't tell him that I was coming, I just went with my sister, and I let myself in with my key. He was upstairs but came down immediately, apologizing and begging me to just talk, telling me that I was overreacting, all that. I just ignored him and I grabbed my puppy. I told him that I was taking her and a few things and that I would be back tomorrow, as in today, with my other sister and brother to collect my things. I told him that if he touched any more of my stuff, that I was going to take him to small claims court like all of you suggested. And honestly, I was considering it now for everything I did prior. He was so stricken, and I could tell that he started to get mad at that point. I ran around the house to collect a few really important things like my passport, my laptop, my work badge. He followed me around the whole time, just begging me to give him another chance. I just ignored him. My sister took pictures of everything that he still destroyed. He put them all in our hallway closet for some odd reason. I didn't tell him that I was going to file a police report, which is why I think when my sister started to get snappy when we were leaving, calling him a few names, that he shoved her out of the doorway that she was standing in. She fell and she wasn't hurt or anything, but it really, really proved things to me. He was willing to shove my innocent sister over a few words, and he will definitely do worse to me. He probably would have done worse to me if I came alone. We just immediately left after that, and I took my dog and my stuff back to my sister's. She helped me contact the police, and we have a report started. All the things that he destroyed of mine. The text admitting to it, the text threatening me, the text saying that he would never hurt our dog, but if it would have gotten me there, that he would have done it, that he will do anything to get me back, and a small scrape that my sister had on her hand when she fell. They asked if she wanted to press charges for the shove, but she said no for now. The officer was really nice, and he told me to write down everything that he broke and write down the prices. He said that it might add up to felony charges if that's the route that I wanted to take with him. I'm not sure if it is, but at least it's there. That was last night. This afternoon, my brother and our other friend, another man, are going to take me back to the house, pack up most of what I can. I told my sister to tell my ex-boyfriend over text that we suggest that he be gone from the house for a few hours. He responded to my sister with just horrid things about me, calling me names that I would never have expected from him, telling her about all of the intimate details of our relationship. He told her about my termination of the pregnancy, which she hadn't known. He said that he wishes that he never met me. My brother is urging me to try and file a restraining order, and for those of you concerned that he was stalking me or tracking me, I had my brother check everything, and he said it all looks fine, so at least that's that. I'm not concerned that he will try to hurt me or anything when I go back to the house. Like I said, I'm going to go with my brother and a friend, both ex-military. I'm going to stay with my two sisters until I figure out my stuff. My brother is insisting on staying with us, at least for a few days, while everything settles. I thought that I was overreacting, but I think that my brother honestly might be. I'm mourning the loss of my 2-year relationship with the man that I thought was the love of my life, a man I lived with and trusted wholeheartedly. But I don't know what happened, but he just isn't that man anymore. I think in some ways he never was. My sister made me think back to the past 2 years, and I can name at least a dozen times when he did subtly try to control me, or try to. The most terrifying part is that if I didn't have that weird urge to post here, I probably would have let him convince me to forgive him. This is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. I hope no one ever has to experience something similar, although I now know that this is far from rare. Alright folks, what do you think of that update?
I'm really sorry OP is going through this situation. I'm glad that she has her family for support. That's really awesome. And hopefully, OP is able to process this and move on.
Yeah.
I would definitely potentially recommend some therapy to work through these really hard feelings. I'm sure it must feel like her world has been turned upside down.
Yeah.
And a therapist might be helpful with processing that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that this is a good example on what a controlling relationship can look like, even from from somebody who's on the inside and kind of thinking about things from a clear perspective. And that's really it, is sometimes people get involved in controlling relationships, and it's not that they did anything wrong, it's not that they made mistakes, it's just that some people are not good people and they'll try to control you and they'll try to make you bend to their will.
Yeah, and there's often lots of little things that when you look at them as individual actions don't necessarily seem like a big deal. It's only the accumulation. Like when OP looks back on those 2 years, that she's actually able to see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And that is intentional. Abusers do that intentionally. They want to make you look like you're in the great relationship, and like if there are issues, it's because of you. It's something you did.
So I just feel so bad for poor OP here, but I'm glad that they're safe. I'm glad that they were able to collect their stuff and that everything is at least moving forward in that respect. And hopefully she can get a restraining order against this guy, because I doubt that this is the end of it, because like he seems like he is really gone over the edge at this point in time. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber has a joke.
What might one say to a cheddar-loving snack thief?
Well, you know what I would say to a cheddar-loving snack thief? I would say, Amber, stop stealing the cheddar. You know, we have plenty here. You don't have to steal it. There's a whole fridge full of cheddar.
I mean, that's fair. That's nacho cheese.
That's nacho cheese, Amber. And I have the apple cinnamon tea today, or licorice spice, whichever one you want to guess.
You mean Earl Grey?
Yes, Earl Grey, I'm sorry. All of the teas now are my apple cinnamon. So here's the logic behind Brian saying that, is that the licorice spice kind of has that sweet flavor. This also has kind of a sweet flavor, and so in my mind, in my brain, it's kind of like, this is a substitute for this other one, but it isn't.
Yeah.
It's not at all. Plus, like, licorice spice is like the closest option to me, so when I'm glancing up at the tea options, I'm like, licorice spice. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior!
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks so much to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please, have it a snappy comeback.
I don't know if it's a snappy comeback so much as it is an old adage, but, don't dish what you can't take.
Don't dish what you can't take. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.